All right, Chad Brendel, Tim Adams. The final day of training camp here for 2014 is a scorcher on the turf at Paul Brown Stadium, but overall I thought a second successful scrimmage. I thought, you know, the guys looked pretty good on both sides of the football. What were your overall takeaways from the final day of 2014 training camp, Mr. Adams?
The biggest thing was no major injuries. We did see Shai Alonso get taken off the field on the stretcher for what they thought might have been a neck injury, but we found out afterwards that he's fine. So I think that was one of the biggest things. I thought that the defense was the bend and do not break type. The offense really didn't score a touchdown until in the later stages of today's scrimmage.
They got a couple late.
Yeah, they got some late, and some of that was on a shortened field. So I didn't think the defense played that badly. I thought the offense, I said I didn't think the offense ran the ball very well last week. I thought they did run the ball much better this week. Whether they ran it well last week or not, you know, we don't see statistics, so sometimes it's difficult to tell. But I thought the offense and the quarterbacks didn't make mistakes. I think that was a key thing for the offense. There were very few, if any, turnovers. Lyndon Stevens got an interception of Jared Evans' pass, but there was a penalty on the play on the defense, so it was nullified. And Tion Green may have had a fumble that Jeff Luke ripped out, and but he may have already been down. We're not sure. So
that was a close one.
It was a close one, but no turnovers by the offense. The kicking game was good. Both field goal kickers were good. I think I had Gans at 4 and 6. He missed a couple of his last ones. And Tony Miliano, I had him at 6 and 7. And both of them, Gans actually nailed a 55-yarder, and both kickers hit 50-yarders today. So this has been a very interesting, for me, place-kicking battle. I said that before in my preview that somebody, you know, unless somebody falters, this is going to be a hell of a battle, and that's what it's been. I gave Gans the advantage going in today, but Tony had a great day today. Just when I was ready to give it to Gans and say it's over, he misses a couple. Tony comes back, makes his last 2 or 3.
And it sounds like Coach Tuberville has him, even if not Miliano, maybe a little bit ahead.
Very close. And, you know, I was telling people today on the sideline about this. I said, "This it was my 8th year coming to these training camps." I said, in any other year, Tony Miliano wins the job, but Gans has been so good this year that he's second right now. But it tightened up. I still have Gans in the lead, but it's neck and neck. It's a photo finish right now.
No punting today, so.
Yeah, we did see a little bit early. Both of them kicked. I saw Gans get off a real boomer. I saw John Lloyd get off a real boomer. That is close. It's hard to tell. Neither one of them has been as consistent as you would want, but I think they've both been better than last year. So that's a good thing if you're a UC football fan. But that one's going to go right down to the wire, I think.
And let's get into one thing that kind of jumps out at you. They're having a little bit of trouble snap-wise outside of Deshaun Bonds.
Yeah.
Bonds are good. The rest of the guys, and they were even shuffling guys in and out during series trying to get, and they're snapping the ball too high, and you're seeing some issues there with the 2nd and 3rd and 4th team guys.
Yeah, poor Jared Evans had a tough time because he had,
ball was flying over his head regularly. Yeah,
there were 2 snaps that went over Evans's head where he tipped it, and Chad Banchbaum was behind him and fielded both on the fly, was able to take off with the football. So I think that was the snapping behind Bond. Ryan Leahy had some snaps today. They've been working with him a little at center, but he was inconsistent. David Niehaus has been inconsistent. Maynello, I'm not sure if he was in on that frenzy of bad snaps or not. He's generally been the number 2 center, but there were definitely some errant snaps out there today.
How about defensive tackle? That's one I know you've had a close eye on that position in the entire camp.
You had to, because it was a position that we really weren't sure, and I was really, really surprised when Coach Tuberville called it one of his deeper positions on the field. It is deep in the degree that there's a lot of guys, but can a lot of them stop the run? And just last week we saw Mark Wilson have a great scrimmage. He had another good one today, but it made a position move of Brad Hara going to defensive tackle to make room for Mark Wilson. Well, today we didn't see that.
Yeah.
Today we saw Hara back at defensive end, and a freshman, a true freshman, Cortez Broughton, who is the best of the defensive young tackles, was in there with the 2nd team opposite pace, and Burt was back with the 3rd team. So they're still moving the pieces of the puzzle around, trying to find out what's best for them. And right now, Cortez Brodden's making a case for himself for getting in and playing as a true freshman at a very, very tough position. But he's 296 to 298 pounds, right in that range, so he's plenty big enough.
Yep.
And he's got a mean streak in him. He got into a fight with Leahy this week that turned into a wild one. But Mark Wilson just gives those backup tackles fits.
They can't do anything with
No.
him. And every time he's in, it feels like you know you're going to hear the whistle blow, and he's going to be at the quarterback.
And that's something that if you're a Bearcat fan, you're worried about for next year, because
Yeah.
you're losing both your tackles, Keebler and Layfeld, and then Tyreek Burwell. You've got Justin Murray back, but Mason Antoine lines up at one end, Mark Wilson at the other, and it's like a flash to the quarterback between the two of them. Just no, Corey Cunningham threw his helmet in frustration, just trying to get Mark Wilson to keep him off of his quarterback today. But I haven't counted up his sacks, but he really struggled. But again, can he do that against those #1 guys? We're not sure. And the fact that they moved Hara back in there at the #2 defensive end means that maybe they see Mark Wilson more as a specialist, as a pass rush guy.
Big money position, quarterbacks. I thought overall a strong day. There weren't as many big splash plays as we saw maybe last week, but I thought they were more consistent, as you talked about in the beginning. Not many mistakes. They were making the right throws, checking it down when they had to. I thought overall a pretty good day for the quarterbacks.
Yeah, no turnovers is big for both of them, or all three of them, and I've stayed consistent to this whole thing. I think Gunnar Keel's the guy unless something tragic happens between now and September the 12th. He's the guy we're going to see starting. But they're going to play two guys, and between Legault and Evans, it is really, really tight. And Legault had another good day today. I mean, he didn't turn the ball over. The big thing for Muncie, I think, is to stay away from those disastrous plays. If he can do that, he makes enough good, positive plays. You can stay away from the disastrous. Last weekend, Sunday, we saw him have 2 fumbles down here in the end zone. He didn't make any of those kinds of mistakes today.
He almost had one early.
Okay.
The interception that we were talking about.
Yeah, in and out of Solomon Tetman's hands. Yeah, that should have been picked off. But he
other
also,
than that, he was solid.
And he made a great throw. Well, Holton got wide open down here behind everybody.
Johnny's just fast.
Johnny is just fast. And he was good again today. McKay, probably the best I've seen McKay since training camp started.
Intermediate routes.
It
wasn't just the deep ball. He was running hitches. He was running out routes. He was coming across the middle on a slant. I would agree on that. I thought he was strong today in other facets outside of just being a deep threat, which has really been your main problem with him, right?
Yeah, he had 16 catches all of last year in 13 games, and I think
like
6
35 yards catch.
Yeah, he had unbelievable. But he's with his ability, with his size, with his length, he ought to be able to do more. And one thing that has helped him out, I think, is that they flip-flop their wide receivers. I think one's the X, one's the Y, or one's the Y, one's the Z. Regardless, they flip-flopped them so that he's been going against Howard Wilder, and he's actually been better against Howard Wilder than he has been against Whitty. So I don't know if it's the technique that they're using to defend him or not, but it was the best I've seen him today. I've been looking every day thinking Holt was going to jump him on the depth chart, which hasn't happened, and after today, I don't know.
It's going to be hard to jump him with the day like that.
I don't see how you could.
Closing thoughts? Any other things jump out at you?
I think we got pretty much everything that I had on my list. But there was a good hot day down here today.
It was smoking hot today.
Yeah. So they kind of needed that, or Coach Tellerville felt that they needed that. So they're off for a few days. They come back on Tuesday. I'm glad to have a few days of not driving to Indiana, which is about an hour drive for me. But it was another good training camp. I'm always glad to see them end. It's like vacation. You get excited to see it start, but it's always good to go home. So 12 practice. No, this was the 12th day, and I think the 16th practice.
Yeah, because they had a couple two-a-days. So that wraps up training camp coverage on the video side for Bearcat Journal. As always, Tim, excellent job. It was good to get out a couple days and soak in some knowledge. I feel like I'm more prepared for the season than I was when training camp started.
Well, thanks for all your help with bringing out the camera and the videos, and Sam and Scott and Bix and Dave, and I think we had 6 guys all participate in covering training camp this year.
Nobody does it better.
I don't think they do.
That's right. He's Tim Adams. I'm Chad Brendel. Thanks for tuning in, Bearcat Journal.